Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash, and the sincere salutations to the hopeful elect, and also a healthy shalom to the few Akwath who are listening and learning. Lord's willing, this lesson be edifying. And I think I'm going to entitle this lesson something along the lines of the Iron Sieve. The Iron Sieve. And you'll catch my drift as I continue in this lesson as to why I entitled it what I did. So I'm going to start this lesson off with 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. It reads, "But the day of the Lord Adawan will come as a thief in the night." Right, to those of you that aren't watching, to those of you who aren't measuring the time diligently in itself. Okay? Filtering the things that are happening in the news with the scriptures. "In the which the heavens shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat." Right. Speaking of when these intercontinental ballistic missiles equipped with nuclear warheads get shot off in the Third World War, and ultimately going to destroy America, Babylon the Great in 1 hour and other parts of the world. And that great noise in which this is speaking of is when these ICBMs are pelting the earth, causing the earth to rock to and fro like a drunkard. It reads, "And the elements shall melt with fervent heat." Right, that scene from Terminator 2, Sarah Connor holding on to the fence after a major city in that scene gets hit by an intercontinental ballistic nuclear missile. It reads, "The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness?" Right. Knowing the future of America, Babylon the Great, and other parts of the earth are going to be dissolved with fervent heat by nuclear missiles, what manner of conversation ought ye to be in? And that word conversation goes into what? Your behavior, your conduct. Knowing all these things are going to be destroyed, what manner of persons ought you to be? You should be doing your best to please the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, so that He might protect you and save you from this impending doom that's prophesied in the scriptures. Because that's the only way anyone is going to escape, through divine intervention by the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. No iron dome is going to save you. No golden dome is going to save you from the destruction and the judgment that's to come. Now, let's play Colonel Douglas McGregor.
How badly did Iran damage Israel's defenses and damage Israel itself with Iran's retaliation? Do we know? Because I know the Israelis are not making this apparent and suppressing the news.
Well, you have seen the quote from Ben Gvir, because he was asked, why are you turning now to the Americans so soon? This is after the first 72 hours. And he said, because we didn't understand or appreciate the enormous striking power of the Iranian missile arsenal. So I think the Israelis are in bad shape. About a third of Tel Aviv has been damaged or destroyed, and I'm sure that will continue. As far as their military installations are concerned, I'm told that they're flying a lot of aircraft out of the country. Many are being flown to Cyprus in order to avoid being struck. I think Israel is on the ropes, to be blunt. It has only a few days left in terms of anti-missile missiles, in other words, air defense capability. And some people have described to me, they're on the ground over there, the Iron Dome as a giant sieve.
The Iron Dome is a giant sieve. How will
All right. So now you see why I entitled this lesson what I did, man. All right. The Iron Dome is turning out to be a joke. All right. This advanced missile defense system is getting shredded by Iranian missiles. And ultimately, why is this happening? Because as this war continues to intensify, you're going to see more advanced weaponry being used, coming into the fold, coming into the battle. All right. Basically, all these nations stepping their game up. And the Iron Dome is going up against hypersonic missiles, and it's failing catastrophically. So let's grab another clip.
All right, the Iranian media had reported that Tehran used the hypersonic ballistic missile in striking Tel Aviv and Haifa. Now, how much of a leveler or an even playing field is the use of this weapon?
I mean, it's a huge upgrade technologically, militarily, and strategically for Iran, because when you look at hypersonic missiles, they've penetrated the Iron Dome, the so-called Iron Dome. You've seen now for multiple nights in a row, they have failed to intercept many of these missiles coming in. And slowly, they're being depleted, and you see these missiles being more effective, and their damage is unbelievable. I mean, people are saying that Tel Aviv and Haifa, parts of them look like Gaza now, which is true, because the damage and the warhead capabilities are so much greater. Given that fact that Israel, for example, needs to send fighter jets 1,000+ kilometers over to hit Iran and needs to refuel in the air, these hypersonic missiles can be launched and they'll reach the target. So it is a leveler in that sense. The question ultimately is, how much of a stock does Iran have to use, and how long can they maintain this strategic advantage before, for example, the US resupplies Israel, and where will Iran get more missiles now? There have been questions about that, and I think that remains a concern in the long term if this conflict continues.
Okay. Now, Donald Trump...
So, there you have it, man. These hypersonic missiles are game changers to war. All right. They can't be shot down by any standard missile defense systems. And, the beautiful thing about it is that Iran is wearing down the Iron Dome's arsenal, because it sends a bunch of cheap ICBMs, a bunch of cheap drones, which costs, little to nothing for them to manufacture and make. But the cost for these Israelis to buy the missiles for the Iron Dome, okay, these interceptor missiles are millions and millions, multi-millions of dollars, man. So it's, like I said, it's destined for these Israelis to lose, and ultimately for it to be destroyed, pertaining to Bible prophecy, man. All right, because a bastard dwells in Ashdod. All right, these are not the people of the Heavenly Father, because the Heavenly Father said when He puts His people in the land, the nations will know war no more. All right, and I bring all this up because Trump was, always bragging about the Iron Dome, okay? And he spoke about, creating this golden dome, okay? Putting this golden dome over America. And obviously it's not going to come to fruition, okay? Because the way this thing is speeding up, the Heavenly Father can have America destroyed in this third world war by the end of this year, or sometimes next year. It ain't no telling, man. Things are moving so fast. All right, but let's grab Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 10, and it reads, "Thus saith the Lord out of one power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought." Right. Who is it speaking of? Ultimately, the Russians and the enemies, the other enemies of America, Babylon the Great. All right. The Heavenly Father is going to put an evil thought in their minds, man. All right. To utterly destroy America, Babylon the Great. So real quick, this is Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 1. It reads, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Adawan." Right. And the Hebrew word for heart there is lab, meaning mind. All right. The king's mind. So it reads, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Adawan. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will." And that's ultimately what we're witnessing. All right. We're witnessing the Heavenly Father turn the minds of the kings of the earth, okay, to the point where they're ready to destroy America, Babylon the Great off the map by any means necessary. All right. So back to Ezekiel 38 and verse 11, it reads, "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages." Right. Symbolic of America. America is that land of unwalled villages. All right. Villages representing the states, Florida, Georgia, okay, New York, California, Utah, so forth and so on. All right. "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely." Right. Even though America has no way of stopping intercontinental ballistic missiles, you know, these people are at rest. You know, they're at ease here. Even amongst the talk of this third world war and all the talk of nuke this, nuclear that, World War III, all these talking points are in the media, and these people can care less. You know, we're literally talking about dropping a nuclear bomb on Iran, okay, to destroy its nuclear program. And Americans are not in an uproar. They're the walking dead. They have no clue what's going on. Okay. So they're at rest. They think they dwell safely. All right. And even though it talks about these unwalled villages, that not only goes into the missile, not having an adequate missile defense system, but the borders being wide open. There's sleeper cells all throughout America, Babylon the Great, that are ready to be activated at any moment. But yet, these Babylonians are at rest, man. They're dwelling safely. So it says, "All of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates." Okay? It reads, "To take spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited." Right, because this place is going to be made desolate. All right. Once these nations shoot off these intercontinental ballistic missiles, America will be made a desert, never to be inhabited again. It says, "And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations," right, America, this great melting pot, "which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land." Okay. So prophecy is playing out, man. Prophecy is playing out. There's no saving this place. No Iron Dome. No giant, no Iron Sieve. Okay. This place is ultimately through. Completely through. And Colonel Douglas McGregor is 100% on point, man. You're hearing it from a wise man of war, so to speak, what's truly going down and what's taking place. All right, so let's get ready to end this. This is Joel chapter 2 and verse 6. It reads, before their face the people shall be much pain, and all faces shall gather blackness. Right, and this is going into the missiles, man. The Heavenly Father is painting a beautiful picture of these missiles, okay? As they come out of the atmosphere, come from the east over to the west, all right, and coming out of the atmosphere, and the people realizing that this is it, that this is the judgment of the Heavenly Father, and it's nothing that they can do. So when these people realize that their judgment is to be destroyed by nuclear fire, they're going to lose it. Okay? That's why it says all faces shall gather blackness. It says, before their face the people shall be much pain, all faces shall gather blackness. Right, because they're going to come to the realization that this is it. There's nothing that I can do to save myself from this fiery judgment that the prophets on the highways and byways warned me about. Okay, matter of fact, let's grab Zakar'Yah chapter 14 and verse 12. It reads, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord Adawan will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Right, and Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. It says, their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And what weapon on the earth today can do what this is describing to a human being? Okay? Nuclear heat. All right? It's going to do this in less than a second. All right? To the people that are destined to receive judgment, the final judgment from the Lord. Thus saith the Lord. All right, so let's finish this out. It reads, Joel 2 and 7. Remember, this is talking about the missiles, not a literal army. It says, they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march every one on his ways. And they shall not break their ranks. Right, meaning that these missiles, the targets that the Heavenly Father has designated for them to hit, they are going to hit them. It reads, neither shall one thrust another. Right, they're not going to hit each other on takeoff and not make it to their destination. All right, they're all going to make it to where they're designated to go to. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Right. When they come in proximity of a iron dome or a missile defense system that's set in place to shoot them down, they're not going to fall on the sword. They're not going to be shot down. All right. They're going to bypass the missile defense system and hit their mark.
Okay. Go! יא בני זונות, יו אני בהלם. אני בהלם. יו, אני בשוק. אני פאקינג בשוק. אני פאקינג בשוק.
So continuing on, Joel 2:9, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, shall utter his voice before his army. All right, what's his army, his ultimate army? These missiles. For his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord Adawan is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Lord's willing, this was edifying. Shalom, Israel. Wa abad babal.